is the Fade 5 Podcast with Brad Evans and Nate Lundy.
Place your bets. Yeah, that's right, you jackals. Brad the Big Moose Evans back with you. The good son, Nathaniel Lundy, as well on this Manic Monday edition of the Fade 5 Podcast. And yes, I am taping mine from an interrogation room in the city of Chicago right now. It is stark. It is very white. It is sterile. And it really resembles my betting card from Sunday really as a result.
It's more of an off-white, kind of a cream tone that you've got. My favorite is the fact that there is this giant whiteboard behind you. And I'm kind of disappointed that there's not some doodles, something on there, like an Easter egg for the people to be able to find in the middle of the video, because many of you have been subscribing to the Fade 5 here for quite a while. Brad and I have done nearly 500 episodes of this podcast, but we added video this season, much to the disgust and vomit-inducing feelings that gives a lot of you. So I'm disappointed there's not something on that whiteboard, Brad.
Yeah, inappropriate pictures. That's what I'm really disappointed by. You know what I'm talking about. Ones that might be of the hairy variety.
Well, or you could go full like Goodwill Hunting on it, and you could have like a bunch of mathematical equations back there.
I'm not smart enough.
No? Okay. Well, I tried.
Well, because we're both idiots, and because we're both math. Sorry, in terms of delivery on that front, we do have a game tonight that we have to do some remedial mathematics to, and that is LAR in San Francisco, and I cannot talk apparently. San Francisco -1.5 with a total of 42.5. Mathematician Nate, you come from a mathematics family, which is the God's honest truth. What do you have for this game?
I'm actually going to take the home team in this one. I like San Francisco, and I'll tell you what, I'm doing a little bit of a reverse play, I guess you could say, because the total in this game opened much higher, Brad, much higher, and has actually come down to where it sits right now. So I'm going to turn around and take the over. Give me 26-20, San Francisco.
Yeah, you know what? I like the over as well. The over has made a triumphant comeback. I don't know if you noticed on Sunday, just the Sunday slate alone, they went 8-6 as a result for the week. If you throw in the Thursday night affair, 8-7 overs to unders. So, it was 500 last week. It was 8-8 was the final outcome of the overs and unders. And I think the overs will prevail here with a 9-7 week. So I'm with you. I got a 27-20 San Francisco. It's been a bit of a house of horrors for the Rams when they have visited the upper West Coast, up from LA in recent times. And, I know the under has really prevailed in this series. In fact, you look at the last 5 innings, the under is hit 4 times, but the Niners have covered, I believe, at 5 straight and have won 4 of the last 5 matchups straight up. So I think they will not necessarily dominate, but I think they will be in control, relatively speaking, from start to finish, and the over does hit. With that already on the books, let's get after it here on this Manic Monday edition with another Fade 5.
Number 5.
All right, anytime touchdown dance, my friend. Break out the Cabbage Patch, I say, on George Kittle. And I pulled this from BetMGM. It is at +180. If you do a little bit more shopping, I noticed this morning Caesars has this at +200 for him to splash 6. And I think that will be the case. Now, Kittle returned to the lineup last week against your Denver Broncos, working out some of the cobwebs, ironing out the wrinkles, did not hit 30 yards in that game, but ran ample routes, had 5 targets, 4 receptions for 28 yards, but the 22 routes run is very encouraging, and I think he could be unleashed in this contest. Now, you look at the Rams, they've had a lot of success containing opposing plus-size targets, but that was Buffalo, Atlanta, and Arizona, and there's some decent talent there, honestly. Dawson Knox and Kyle Pitts, and also in Mr. Zach Ertz. They went 10 for 74 and have not allowed a touchdown. They're overdue to give up a score inside the red zone to an oversized target, and I think it happens tonight. This is more a gut feeling for me. This is why it's number 5 on the Fade 5 today, but I say Kittle gets an end zone spike at plus 180, or as I said, shop around plus 200 right now at Caesars at 180. I pulled from BetMGM. Lundy, are you with me? Fade or follow?
No, I'm not with you because you just said the dreaded phrase for all betting fans. They're due.
Yeah,
Come
I did.
on, man. You can't do that. That right there is the kiss of death. That's the equivalent of Kevin Harlan talking about how somebody hasn't missed a field goal in 3 months. You just did the kiss of death when it comes to Kittle. He's going to probably get one catch for -3 yards now, just because you said the Rams were overdue. I get your logic. I understand what you're trying to do, but I can tell exactly why this one is number 5 on the list. I've got what I think is a better anytime touchdown. I'll give it to you in bonus time.
Oh, bonus time tease from Nate Lundy. Don't screw me over. Kittle is in bits.
Number 4.
All right, wham, bam. Thank you, Cam. Will that be the case tonight for Cam Akers of the LA Rams? And I say, no, give me the under on 43.5 rush yards. Pull this one also from Caesars at just a -104, a lighter juice at that location. And really unanimously right now at the books, it's either 43.5 or 42.5 on this prop. And for good reason. San Francisco has been stifling up front, giving up just 2.89 yards per carry and 62.7 rush yards per game to the running back position. You look at Cam Akers, 15 for 44 a couple of weeks ago, 12 for 61 last week, encouraging there, seeing 50% of the team snaps, but that's also a strong takeaway. He's still in a full-blown RBBC with Darrell Henderson. And yeah, he's got some respectable yak and missed tackle numbers, 2.83 in yak per attempt and a 20% missed tackle rate. But because of the matchup and because of the fact that he's splitting those opportunities with Henderson, I don't think he gets it's going to be close, but I don't think he gets to 44 rush yards and the under cashes. So fade or follow, Cam Akers on that under 43.5 rush yards, -104 at Caesars.
I like this one. I think he may flirt with this number, but I definitely like the under. So I'm going to follow for purposes here, Brad, but I'd also say if people are thinking about trying to do a one-game parlay, I know that you can play around with this one, get it to where you're like under 60, right? Like under 59.5, something like that. Just in case something happens to where he creeps up over this number, buy yourself a little bit of room. By itself, it's good. I like the juice at Caesars. I like the fact that this is practically a straight bet. But I will tell you, I'm a little bit more of a fan of throwing this into a one-game parlay and then taking him under a higher number, pack it together with one, maybe two other legs, get myself into something that gives me a little bit more comfort just in case he pushes through that line and gets a nice 8 or 9 yard chunk that gets him up over this number.
Team Wavo says we don't need the boosted line. Take the under on 43.5.
Number 3.
All right, number 3, and this is a fun one. Jimmy Garoppolo, under 2.5. That's it, 2.5, a measly 2.5 rush yards, -115 at BetMGM. He's got 5 carries for 5 rush yards so far this season. So, he's averaging 2.5 carries. Some of those are the sneak variety, which, unless you're Jacoby Brissett, you're not gaining more than 3 yards on a singular sneak. You look at LAR, they have been picked apart on the ground, but by scoring duelists is the best way to describe them. They faced Josh Allen, Marcus Mariota, and Kyler Murray so far this season. All those guys have legs that churn frequently. You look at Garoppolo going back to last year, he has hit the over in 9 of 18 matchups, including the postseason. So, it's a 50-50. It's a coin flip here. But I don't think he is going to all of a sudden, go full Trey Lance pre-injury and take off sprinting down the field for a measly 3-yard gain. Give me the under on 2.5 rush yards, -115 at BetMGM. And don't forget, Lundy, kneel downs at the end of the game also come into play here. Fade or follow?
I'm fading you on this one, but it's because, as we say on the podcast, recency is a hell of a bias. Do you want to know what happened to me yesterday, Brad? Shall I share a story? Let's jump
Yeah.
with Sherman in the Wayback Machine here. One of my picks on You Bet Pro Football yesterday on Altitude, my television show on Sunday mornings, I thought I had one nailed down. I had Geno Smith under 6.5 rush yards, Brad. He scrambled for 17 less than 4 minutes into the game, and my bet was already toast. And so I just get this bad feeling that the moment I think a quarterback, because Geno Smith, the only time he'd done that all season was week 1 when Denver looked just terrible. And he managed to get 14 yards. He scrambled for 17 about 3.5 into the game. And then he also had that 8-yard touchdown run. Like, I was screwed from the beginning. So these quarterback rush props have me a little skittish, shall we say. So I'm going to fade you because of my own recency bias. Garoppolo's going to scramble for like 5 or something stupid. And then you're going to be praying for kneel downs at the end of the game. I'm fading you on this one because I think you're going to get Geno'd.
More than likely is indeed the case, but stay pocket tied, Jimmy G.
Number 2.
All right, numero dos on the Fade 5 today is a one-game parlay that I constructed at my friends at BetMGM and your friends too, and it's a 3-legger OGP. Are you with me? Yes, I am. And I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp. 7 plus receptions, Cam Akers, 3+ receiving yards. Brandon Aiyuk, 40+ receiving yards on that OGP 3-legger. And if all 3 of those legs hit, you're looking at a cool plus 160. Cooper Kupp, you know the history here. You know probably the statistical evidence I'm going to cite. Massive target share. He's number 1 in the NFL in team target percentage at 34.7 in that category. That checks out to 11.7 looks from Matthew Stafford per game. He's going to see Lenoir in the slot in this game, and Lenoir, or whatever how you pronounce it, is given up a 71.4 catch percentage so far to his assignments in the slot. So it's a very friendly matchup on paper. There are some question marks, I feel, in this secondary of San Francisco overall. And again, I got a gut feeling here that the Rams may be playing from behind in this game, and that could only benefit Cooper Kupp and that passing attack in the end. So I like that quite a bit. He's averaging 9.3 receptions per game and is coming off a bit of a stinker vertically, so get back on track. Cam Akers, I need 1 catch, man. 1 stinking catch. You're averaging 5.7 routes per game. He has not caught a ball in 2 or 3 games. So he did have 2 receptions a couple of weeks ago. So just give me 1. That's it. And you will hit the over on this 3+ receiving yards prop. And then Brandon Aiyuk is going to have himself a nice night. So I'm going to lower this down to 40+ receiving yards, give myself a little bit of a cushion here. He's seeing Kendrick in coverage, who's given up on 16 targets, 9 receptions for 102 yards. And Aiyuk has hit the over already on this 40 yards in 2 of 3 matchups. So again, Kupp, 7+ catches, Akers, 3+ receiving yards, and Brandon Aiyuk, 40+ receiving yards. All 3 legs hit. You're looking at plus 160 at BetMGM. Fade or follow.
True story. I may have approximately 11 one-game parlays for the game tonight as I try to get into plus territory to chase some of the dollars that disappeared yesterday afternoon. Had a very mixed day yesterday, but I may be chasing on some of these very simple one-game parlays that you and I like to talk about. Just get into the plus odds and then slam down your money and get yourself some very attainable. So I really like this one. I already had a couple already built. True story. I just built one while you were talking that I'll share in bonus time. Because I told you, I'm freaking chasing, y'all.
Yeah, we're going to be chasing down hopefully some damn winners, including this show GP tonight.
Number 1.
All right, numero uno on the Fade 5 today. Deebo Samuel, and I'm going to live in the land down under on the rush yards prop here. 29.5. I think there were a couple of shops this morning ahead at 30.5 at tape time. But whether it's 29.5 or 30.5, wherever you stack your greenbacks, and I pull this one for minus 115 at DK, I believe the under is going to hit. Deebo, sail passes the first couple of weeks, 8 for 52, 4 for 53. Then last week, defenses really started to key on him. They're stacking the box. They know when he's lining up or is setting a motion into the backfield that the ball is going straight to the belly. Only 5 carries for 6 yards in week 3 last season. And his lone matchup against the Rammies, 5 for 36 and 1. So he's had some success, but the Rams got a key on him. And they've really done a tremendous job bottling up running backs. 3.85 yards per carry, again, allowed this season. Though Deebo getting a very appreciable 6.59 yards after contact per attempt. But again, I think they're going to, buy in to him getting the football probably 5-6 times, stack the box as a result, and not get skewered as a result as well. So Lundy, fade or follow, Deebo Samuel under 29.5 rush yards, minus 115 at DraftKings. This
Man,
one,
you are playing with fire here for this Monday night game. Lots of unders, which is not typical for you. I think they can bottle him up. God, this is a low number, man. How in the world? Deebo at 29.5? I think you're playing with fire. I think you're playing with fire. I don't think I can do it. This is I'm going team raisins all day long on this one. I don't think I can pull this one off with you, man. I think this is too low of a number. I think he can streak one and get above it. I'm going to fade you again.
Yogurt covered in natured, I think, are your team raisins right now. So rather unfortunate for you. I say take the under with Deebo. It's not going to happen. Not like
I hate raisins, by the way. Just as a side note. Can't stand them.
I guilty as charged. I am also a hater of the raisins. But what I'm not a hater of is bonus time, Lundy. I got a lot of extra plays in this game, and I know you're chasing. So what else is on your card?
I'm chasing. Well, here's what's crazy. I hit a massive parlay with Saturday Night College Football, a huge parlay. So even though I'm upset with how yesterday went with some of my NFL picks, I'm still way up for the weekend. So thank you, gambling gods, because I got a gift on Saturday night with a college parlay that I hit. Let me give you that OGP that I just put together as we were doing the podcast here this morning, Brad, because your bet on Cam is part of what gave me the idea. So give me under Cam Akers 59.5. So in other words, keep him under 60 yards. I think they should be able to do that. Give me Brandon Aiyuk, similar to what you just had. I had the 40 plus. I had that written down as one that I was going to do when it came to it. And then there's been this huge shift for Allen Robinson, and rightfully so, because dude's only had 10 targets over the course of the last couple of weeks. But I think they're going to continue to try to look for ways to get him involved. So I'm going to bring Allen Robinson all the way down to 25. That's all I need. 25 receiving yards. If I put those three together, I did that as we were doing the pod. I did it at DraftKings. That pays at a plus 175. I said that I had an anytime touchdown that I like better. It's probably why I faded you at number 1, because my anytime touchdown is Deebo Samuel. You can get him, by the way, at plus 130 at DraftKings. To give you an example, at BetMGM, it's only plus 110. Bump that up to a plus 130 if you do it at DK. Let me give you a Major League Baseball one, just because, the season, 3 more days, then we get into the postseason. By the time you and I are back for the pod coming up this weekend, we will be talking about the wild card matchups and all of that. I need all 3 of these games to have 5 or more runs. Give me Kansas City at Cleveland. Give me Atlanta on the road against Miami. Remember, we're sitting with a magic number of 1 for Atlanta, and Minnesota and the White Sox. If all 3 of those games have 5 or more runs in them, it's a plus 117. But let's have some fun. If you want to add in Detroit and the Mariners up in the Pacific Northwest, I think that one is also going to hit the over. Again, alt line of 5 or more runs. That'll bump it up to a plus 180. And Brad, shall we break out the crystal ball and look ahead to the week? There is a college football game on Wednesday night. UCF and SMU. The Golden Knights were supposed to host that one on Saturday. They moved it because of Hurricane Ian. They went ahead and slid it. It's going to be played on Wednesday night. Right now, you can get UCF -3 at a -120. That number is going to move. Go grab it right now. SMU coming in, Mordecai, the quarterback for TCU, has had back-to-back games with 2 interceptions. The reason I bring that up is because UCF right now is holding opponent quarterbacks to a 53% completion and under 206 yards passing a game. This UCF defense is good against quarterbacks, especially if they can work them into mistakes. So I think UCF wins and wins handily against the Mustangs. So get that one in early because I think that line's move.
All right. Very convincing. I think I'm going to jump all over that, as a matter of fact. I've got some additional action and bonus time. Let's start with baseball. Why the hell not? Take Hunter Green over 8.5 strikeouts against my Cubs. Cubs are one of the most K-prone teams in Major League Baseball, really for much of the season, especially over the last 30 days. And Hunter Green has been dealing for the Red Stockings. It's 8.5, as I mentioned, at DraftKings right now at -115. If you start shopping around, the juice is already spiking at some of them. So get in early before this one climbs. I think it's going to be 10 plus for the future ace of Cincinnati there on the bump. All right, some additional action in tonight's Monday Night Affair. I got Deebo on a 2-legger. This is all receiving yards, okay? So I think he's got to underachieve on the ground, but through the air is where he's got to do some damage. I say 4+ receptions and 55+ receiving yards. You put those two together, it's minus. It's not plus, but it's -120 at BetMGM, and I'm still willing to wager on that. Give it a little cushion there. Jalen Ramsey has underachieved this season. Give it by 106. Passer rating to his assignments, has been targeted 16 times. Give it up 10 receptions. And Deebo is seeing close to 30% of the team's target share and is number 7 in yak yards after the catch. So I think Deebo will catch at least 4 balls and get to at least 55 yards through the air. And on that 2-legger, as I mentioned, -120. Another little 2-legger I like. I say San Francisco scores the win. So give me the Niners on the money line. And I'm going to take that with Robbie Gould over 1.5 field goals made. And if both of those hit, you're looking at a very spicy +230 at BetMGM. Remember, the Niners boat raced the Rams last year 31-10 in their lone matchup. And you look at Robbie Gould, he's gone 1-2-1 in the field goal department so far to start this season. So only over once in 3 games. But he's got a golden leg despite his advanced age. And if a couple opportunities in the red zone bog down, which I think will happen for the Niners, they will call on the kicker who will split the uprights 1 and 2 times. And I cash in there at +230. And then the last one I got for you is a OGP, Lundy, another OGP, because I'm with you. I'm chasing a little bit. I'm up a whopping 0.24 units this week. So it's been quite the roller coaster ride for me. But I got a 3-legger, and I go Matthew Stafford on the first leg at 225+ passing yards. Jeff Wilson Jr. to catch 2 balls or more. That's all I need. He's done in every single game this season. And a guy that you're probably not thinking about, Ben Skoranek, to get 30+ receiving yards. All those hit, it's +200 at BetMGM. You look at Stafford on the 225+. He's number 4 in adjusted completion percentage. He's done this in every single game this season. And number 10 in yards per attempt. I think he will put enough mustard on the hot dog, so to speak, and get to at least 225 through the air. Wilson, as I mentioned, he's done this in every game. He's number 3 as well in yards per route run. He'll catch at least 2 balls out of the backfield, working outside and away from Aaron Donald. And Ben Skoranek could be the linchpin in all this. It really is. But he is running 28 routes per game. So he's seeing a sizable workload, and it's not extraordinary, but it's respectable. Number 34 in yak. So he's been really good after the catch so far this season. I know he's been over this just one time. It happened in the last game. He went for 66 in 3 contests, but I think the Rams are going to maybe be playing from behind in this game, and you have to take advantage of what I feel is the weak point of the Niners defensively, and that is through the air. So, again, Stafford 225+, Wilson 2+ receptions, Skoranek 30+ receiving yards, +200 at BetMGM. And we are out of time here on the Fade 5. Please drop us a rating and or review. wherever you are consuming this podcast or you're watching us on YouTube. Also, follow us on Twitter. We have our spreadsheets that we compile every single week. Absolutely free, always transparent. Lundy at Nate Lundy on Twitter. Mine at Noisy Huevos. Follow us and we'll strike up a conversation randomly to boot. And until next time, as always, feed or follow. That is up to you.